Hey there, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the DMZ America podcast for Monday, October 6th. Coming to you from the left, I'm editorial cartoonist Ted Rall.
And I'm editorial cartoonist Scott Stantis, coming to you from the right, or what used to be the right, what should be the right. How's that? As God has given us the right to know the right. Sure.
And we will have many opportunities to try to redefine that. So today, Scott and I thought that for our 216th episode, that as two of America's remaining political cartoonists, we would, we used to always say that America's best cartoonists. We didn't say that about ourselves, but typically people would say that, like, oh, some of the best cartoonists. Now it's kind of like the only cartoonists.
Yeah.
Is the way to put it. So as two political cartoonists, we've never done this before. We've never shown and told our work on the podcast and talked about what the thought that went into it, what we thought of our own work and each other's work, and our colleagues' work. And so, belatedly, because we are slow people, we're going to do that right here. And now,
it didn't take us 400 episodes, at least.
That's true. That would have been political cartoonist Joe Biden would have taken 400 to do that. So his 400th. Anyway, I'm not going to make that joke. Okay, so Scott, without ado,
let's see.
We each have. I've pulled up 5 of yours and 4 of mine. 4 because mine take longer to read than yours, and I pulled up 2 cartoons by 2 of our peers, and I thought, just mix it up a little bit. And I thought we just sort of go through the process. So, which let's do this one. We're going to go in chronological order here. So
yeah, the jobs. This was obviously, and this was the jobs report, which was abysmal. Even, and if it's abysmal, it's got to be worse, because if you recall, Trump fired the guy who did the first couple of job reports that showed that jobs creation was pretty anemic. Or worse. And then they came out with a report that it was not great. And you have to know that that was even worse. So there's, Trump being Trump, saying it's huge. And I just love drawing the little hands and using, if you notice the palette I used for his actual skin tone, not the orange, is this like deathly, there really is. Yeah, it's just this death gray, because if you look at the color, around the orange, he really does have like moldy, gross looking skin.
He must have terrible circulation too, because he had those spots, I forget what they're called, that older people can get from where their blood accumulates in certain places, and then his hair. You really captured the mysteries of his hair, which are becoming ever more mysterious.
I know. Do you think? Here's the thing. What was? Oh gosh, he passed away recently. He hit Gherkin. Right, he was named after the
David Gherkin.
Yeah, he was part of the pickle empire. That's where the family got their money.
Well, that's possible. Is that true?
No, but it could be.
That could be.
But he had that comb.
Carlson is a TV dinner, guy, right?
Is he really?
Yeah. Oh, he made his millions from. He inherited the Swanson TV dinners fortune, or at least part of it.
Who knew that there was that much money there? But yeah,
in America in the 70s, I guarantee you.
But Gherkin used to have that weird comb over. It was like this one braided strand that he would kind of. And I'm just thinking, like, does Trump have the same syndrome of, like, in the morning? And I know that the rumors are that President Trump, takes like a half hour to do it. But when it's all done, does he really go, oh yeah, that totally works?
Looking good. I don't know. And by the way, of course, obviously, like all of us, he's thinning, by the day, and and it's getting worse and worse. And what was kind of like a joke we could all overlook has become just kind of like he's like one butterfly wing gust away from the whole thing blowing off into Serbo-Croatia.
It's very strange. It's very strange. So that, and obviously the little jobs guy was kind of fun to draw. So sometimes the drawings are fun.
Is this a sexual double entendre, Scott Stantis?
Sure. Let's if that's what floats your boat, then absolutely.
No, seriously, because he's kind of like the hands are floating over his big belly, which is floating over something he probably hasn't seen in a while.
You'd have to make a leap for that. I mean, he always talks about huge. He doesn't use the H. I mean, it wasn't meant to be a double entendre.
In
but
your mind,
sure.
That wasn't there in your mind.
No, but it's weird what people read into your work. Ted, you know that. I mean, I can't tell you
how. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Okay, so we can explain exactly what we meant.
Yes. This is an amazing moment. Like, I remember, I would do a cartoon and I'd show it to my ex-wife, and she'd be like, I don't get it. And I'd explain it to her. And she'd be like, oh, that's a good cartoon. And I'd be like, great. All I have to do now is travel the nation and go door to door and say, so in case you saw my cartoon, here's what you need to know. But exactly. We can do it.
Yeah. So that's where we are with this. I mean, it was, there was not a section. I mean, the little hands, the big, and the kind of gross baggy suit. And like I said, and ultimately the real issue of the whole cartoon is the jobs report and how, people are not getting jobs or they're being underemployed. It's a massive problem in this country.
Only 22,000 jobs were created that last month. And economists like to see 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. So
that's robust. I mean, anything over 200,000. This was, I mean,
anything over 200,000 is considered acceptable or good.
Yeah, the Trump taxes are doing their magic on the American economy, bringing jobs back to.
And I don't know if you missed this, Scott, but the new jobs report was supposed to come out, I guess, today or yesterday. I guess today. Today's Monday. And there's a government shutdown, Scott.
Oh, of course. I heard about this.
Alas, we cannot release. There are no jobs numbers to release. Alas.
Well, let's go to a TED cartoon.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. Let's in fact do that. Okay. Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. So this cartoon was about the executive order that Trump signed in order to go to war against Antifa. Now, Antifa is not. So they were talking about, we're going to freeze their bank accounts. We're going to free. It's like Antifa doesn't have bank accounts. We're going to arrest the members of the organization. There's no organization. There's not to mention, there's no such thing as under American law as a domestic terrorist organization. Only international.
I thought they during the W. Bush administration, they came out with that definition that they could.
Nope.
Okay.
No. I mean, by the way, I don't think there's any objective reason why there couldn't be a domestic terror organization. I mean, the KKK was one, but the fact is that under our law, Congress, in its infinite wisdom, has not created that designation. So I just thought it would be funny, to have Trump. Obviously, by the way, we draw him differently, but there's similarities, I guess. But I thought the funny thing would be it's always funny to make a person who's clearly uncultured sound like he's more pretentious and cultured and French than he is. So I thought that's really kind of my joke here. And any opportunity to mention the word ennui is automatically.
Yeah, I can't imagine him saying that, or the sentence existential terrorist organization. I mean,
it's part of the joke, right?
Yeah.
It's like the evil members of ennui. I kind of can support Panel 3. I kind of would like to the evil members of ennui and those who fund them. And that's Steve Bannon, of course, behind them. I always like to have it be like there's just random people behind them. But I don't think it's important for anyone to know who they are but me.
Well, what's interesting is, for instance, when the president comes on and off Marine One, the helicopter that lands on the lawn in the White House, they actually invite people to stand there and applaud him when he walks from the helicopter and this has been going on for many administrations. I mean, it is absurd. Oh, here's our friend Chip Bach.
Oh, sorry, I put that in. That was not meant to just pop in there automatically, but
okay. We can move on.
It's here. So Chip Bach from the late of the Akron Beacon Journal. That's not particular to Chip. We're all late of someplace, except for you, Scott. You're still at the Chicago Tribune. But
yes,
this is another shutdown story. Non-essential worker. Self-explanatory.
Wait, I'm is it? I'm trying, and I'm maybe I'm just being thick here. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here up in the Rocky Mountains, and maybe it's the thin air. Government shutdowns are like COVID without the mask. And this is a non-essential worker.
Basically, they don't do anything. They just sit at home.
Oh, okay. Is there a point? Or is it just saying if you're non-essential, then
you're not essential?
Pat Oliphant did a great cartoon during one of there's a threat of a shutdown, I believe in the 70s. And he did a fantastic cartoon where it was this guy, and it's a typical bureaucrat sitting at the desk. He's just got his nose there and he's asleep. And he's getting his notice to go home. He goes home. He says, and then he gets notice to go back to work. He says, if I'm going to be non-essential, I want to be non-essential at work. And I mean, because that whole definition of essential, non-essential always struck me as peculiar. I mean, you're either essential, or why are you working in a business of any kind, let alone the federal government? But yeah, Chip is one of those guys. I worked with him for 20 years. We kind of orbited the Reason Foundation, which is a libertarian think tank, and did work for Reason magazine. But Chip of late has, he kind of fluctuates back between MAGA world and libertarianism. And it's just make a decision, man. It's like being bisexual. Just pick a team, dude. Pick a team.
He's American. He wants to have it all, Scott. All right, let's do another one of yours here. I never get sick of this graphic whenever I see it.
Well, let's see. Oh, what I wish I could say. This was just rendering in my style the poster for The Exorcist, which was just a great graphic, amazing. Very dramatic. But I just love The Exorcist. Someone called about America's Soul.
By the way, isn't that filmed, those stairs where he walks down in The Exorcist? Isn't that in DC?
Oh yeah. No, it was shot. The film was shot in DC. America's soul is so corrupted, so polluted right now that it strikes me. I mean, Ted, let's be honest, okay? You and I it's just you and me, right?
Oh yeah. It looks like only our 9 best friends are listening right now. So.
Well, others will listen. Others they're come for the cartoon. They're come for the conversation, but stay for the cartoons.
Hopefully.
But when was America's soul not? I mean, come on. America's soul in the late 1850s was about as corroded. We can own human beings. Oh, I'll kill you for the right to own a human being.
In the 1950s, like, hey, you were once owned, and now we won't let you vote.
Or eat at our lunch counter. Right.
Yeah. How you want a hamburger at a lunch counter? How dare you?
But this era right now, I think you could argue is one of those weird. You were in the debate team, right? Do you remember? Oh God, what was there's a phrase that it's attitudinal inherency. And it's a clever way to say, just because you pass a law doesn't mean it's going to change a damn thing. Civil rights, you touched on civil rights a second ago. Civil rights is a good example. Just because you pass civil rights doesn't mean you're going to change hearts and minds. I think we're in a moment, like a conscious or semi-conscious moment of attitudinal inherency where, you're not going to convince anybody. On the other side, you try to talk to people who have. And Ted, I know you have the same issue with friends who are on the left. I'm doing air quotes there because I think you're probably more like truly left than, you're not a Democrat. Okay.
No.
So people
I grew up as a Democrat, and there's things, and obviously, you always like where you came from. You have a fondness for it.
I do wonder if the Democratic Party actually went back to, oh, sorry, I interrupted. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But I do wonder if the Democratic Party actually went back to pre-Clinton era and actually started to embrace once again the New Deal coalition. I wonder if people like you would come back. I wonder if it would be much more appealing to, again, the union people they lost.
There'd be something to talk about, Scott. I mean, right now there is no reason to have that discussion because there's literally it's so funny. I mean, the big discussion within the Democratic Party comes down to, oh, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Why not, if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris is half as much as you want, better to get that half than nothing at all. What those people don't get is there's nothing about Joe Biden or Kamala Harris that someone like me is interested in. It's not a compromise. It's not a half-assed version. It's not like, hey, Mom, can I borrow $100? And she goes, how about 50? It's not that. It's more like, Mom, can I borrow $100? And she's like, how about I stick a pit bull and have him bite off your dick? That's really
well, okay, but I think that's where we are, certainly. And so with the soul, I mean, I'm talking to Democratic friends who will not accept that Kamala Harris to this day was a terrible candidate, even though all the evidence, every piece of the evidence, every shred of evidence, Ted, says that she was awful.
Look, by objective mathematical standards, she was a terrible candidate. Because
yes,
let's go through it very quickly, but yet clearly, she was a sitting vice president with the advantages of incumbency. She didn't have any scandal tarnishing her whatsoever. She had an incredibly unpopular, reviled, convicted of 34 felonies, right-wing extremist opposition candidate to run against.
Yep.
And yet she failed. And all the evidence, she says her book is called 107 Days. The implication is that she didn't have enough time. But by all accounts, she probably might have won if she'd had 80 days. The longer we got to know her, the more we disliked her.
Right. And the fact
she peaked out the first week,
she had we can rehash this, but I'll bullet point this. Had a good convention. She had a good debate against Trump. No follow through on either one of those in the way that you and I, and quite frankly, the most successful politicians of the 20th century would have taken advantage of it. The convention was the coming out party, and she should have had 5 rallies a day, just to show that she was young and vibrant compared to the sluggish, fat thing she was running against. She did none of that. It was just Anyway, so that's where the exit. But my point was, it took me a long time to get there, but we've arrived, Ted. is that you can't have discussions with people and just say, is there a middle ground anymore? Can you say, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I wish I love being old, Ted. It's awesome, but a Trump issue came up that is actually pretty good. It was not, it was a good thing that we can all applaud. And this person could not say, you can't say anything good about Trump. I go, well,
yes, that's fucking retarded.
It's not smart. It is like, and that's when you cease to have
people know you're not real. And when people figure out that you're not real, they're going to stop listening to you. And that's what the main reason to be real is so that people might listen to you.
And so the exorcism, and when I say that the soul of America is corroded, I mean, I did grow up and came of age politically in 70s and 80s America, where there was compromise, where there was, back and forth. I can remember Reagan passing his tax cuts and the TV cameras in his office and in Tip O'Neill's office. And the speaker at the time, Tip O'Neill, saying, well, Mr. President, you got us this time, but we'll get you next time. And they were kind of laughing. And that was one of those moments that you go, God, this country kind of rocks.
It's not just an America problem. I mean, it's a problem throughout the West, polarization. I mean, you're seeing it in, for example, in France, even as we speak, right? Sébastien Lecornu, just became the 4th prime minister in just over a year to step down.
What are they, Italy?
Yeah, no, it's true, right? I mean, there's one little factoid that really jumped out at me. 320 of the seats in the National Assembly are currently held by the far left or the far right. 240 are held by the centrist party controlled by the president. So basically, the center is a minority party in France. When the last election was won by the far left, number 2, a close second was the far right. And then the center was way down the list. that's what would happen again. Either it might be the other way around in terms of far left or far right. But the point is, no one wants what the middle is selling. Scott, I got to ask you, when you use a reference like a cultural reference, The Exorcist, which came out in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Do you worry that some readers might not even have heard of the movie? At least you have the advantage of the fact that they did a remake recently.
Yeah, I mean, and the graphic is so powerful and so pervasive that I suspect most people who consume editorial cartoons would know it. But I also take the tack that
the over 95 set.
Yeah, well, I do take the tack that most of our audience is going to be 55 or older. And so those types of, they're older. I mean, I taught a course, a college level course, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and not one of the students had looked at an editorial cartoon. And I had 20 students. So, that's all you need to know about. So I try to think about my audience. I mean, Ted, how many cartoonists, and I can name them, I mean, use movie posters? Like, how many Weekend at Bernie plays have there been? Cartoons have there been? And when did that come out? I mean, the 80s, right? The 90s, maybe?
I would say, yeah, it's that has the vibe of an 80s movie. But if memory serves, I think it came out in the 90s. And, given that I'm 62, memory may not serve. But
yes, yeah. Don't do none of this is binding, people, just so you know. But I mean, how many cartoonists have done that? The Weekend, especially with Biden at the time. And I'm trying to think of some other movie.
That crossed my mind, and I just didn't do it because everyone else was doing it.
And you can do things like Wizard of Oz or Casablanca, and those are kind of timeless. I mean, those are in heavy rotation.
Those are classics.
Yeah, but is The Exorcist a classic film? It's actually kind of laughable, especially the special effects where
I think it's a classic. It's a classic.
Okay, well then I'm not
it's it's iconic. The spider walk. I mean, it's
but to your point, that's I write for me. And of all people, Ted, Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, gave me some great writing advice. He says all writing is autobiographical.
That's true.
I think he's absolutely true.
And if you doubt that, especially about cartoonists, read the Peanuts, the Charles Schulz biography, right? Where it's not like a well-written biography, really. I'm really sorry if the author is watching this, but it really could have been. The prose doesn't sing. But if you care about Sparky Schultz, that was his nickname in the industry, it's fascinating to read because it intersperses he had a fight with his first wife, who Lucy was a stand-in for, and then the next week out comes from the Syndicate this exact topic in the comic strip that he adapted into the comic strip.
Yeah, in my comic strip, Prickly City, I do the exact, the stuff that's my Henri. I mean, I've actually had friends contact me and say, Scott, are you okay? Because I'm so depressed about what's happening in this country and about the existential element of what's happening to this country that you can't help but have it reflect in the comic strip. You want me to give you the best example of how art, reflects life? I was doing a family strip called The Buckets. I'll make it fast, Ted. And my son, we were taking a trip. We were living in Arizona. We were driving to see family in California. And the whole trip, 6.5 hours, he's going, in the back seat. And I'm going, after 4 hours, you kind of go, knock that shit off, please. And I actually drew about it in my comic strip. And I got a note from a pediatric psychiatrist from, of all places, Chicago. He said, have you had him checked for ADHD or Tourette's? And I said, I have not. And he said, well, give me a call if you have any questions. So I went, you and I both get that. And we don't ever call because, come on. You don't know if the guy's a loon or whatever. But actually about 10 days later, I said, you know what? Okay. And I gave the guy a call. He gave me some names and numbers of people who practiced near me. And sure enough, it was, it turned out to be, we thought initially it was ADHD. It was not. It was a form of Tourette's. And it was adolescent Tourette's, so he's outgrown it. But my son Tourette's was diagnosed through my comic strip.
That's awesome.
That's how personal the writing can be without not being consciously autobiographical. So let's put up one of yours. I want to see one of yours. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, totally. It's totally interesting. Wait, we already did that. Let me get rid of that.
Ted does a lot of the same thing.
Yeah. That's maybe why I'm not more successful. So this is.
Oh God, I love this cartoon. Go ahead, Ted.
Go ahead, Scott.
This was. Because I was lavishing you with praise. I thought this was the bullshit that Ted and I had to wrestle with the entire Biden administration. That, behind closed doors, he's sharp as a tack. It was the same people who said, I know I've mentioned this before on this podcast, George W. Bush behind closed doors is actually pretty smart. I go, that in the words of the great 20th century philosopher T. Rall, not only is that not true, it cannot be true. Because if you're smart all the time. If you're sharp as a tack, you're sharp as a tack all the time. Sure, you have your moments. And so that's what this strip, your cartoon, addresses beautifully. I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah, and I like patterns. So I like comics that showcase a pattern. So Biden, the stuff that you described, Scott, about like how the insiders were like, no, Karine Jean-Pierre saying behind the scenes, can't keep up with him. He's like a human tornado, and it's like he's like Dolomite.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then so you're like, yeah. I just sit with that, and I did mock that at the time. But it was just in her book, she claimed that she was fighting the good fight for the Palestinians. If people thought that was true, she would be president of the United States right now. That's part of why her coalition fractured, right, with the uncommitted movement and all that. She inherited that from Biden. But the point is, there's no evidence. She's like, well, behind closed doors, I was fighting hard. And the people who were there, they know. And I'm like, great, the 8 of them. But like, it's a 300+ million people country. It's not gonna go. And then you were, Scott, you're talking about the personal angle of all this. This is where you get to have fun, right? I'm like, well, I want to have Biden say something that sounds absurdly intellectual and multisyllabic. So Nagorno-Karabakh is the breakaway region of Armenia that was populated by, in Azerbaijan, populated by Armenians, that was recently ethnically cleansed by the Azeris. And I'm like, no one's ever going to talk about Nagorno-Karabakh. And, the word paradox always makes you sound intellectual. And I love the situations. And I like Hume. So I'm like, okay, I'm putting all this shit in here.
Oh, no, this is brilliant. I just love the, no one sees our behind closed doors selves. I mean, it was just the absurdity of it. I mean, it made me crazy because, Ted and I, we did not have access to the president. This will surprise nobody. Ted and I did not have.
We probably don't deserve access to the president.
No. So all we did was watch the news and watch, clips from the president, Biden walking to and from the helicopter, his failed news conferences or whatever. That's what we based this on. It didn't take. We saw what we saw and we heard what we heard, and that's all we talked about. Let me ask you that cartoon, Ted. Put it back up real quick, if you would, if it's possible, please.
Okay, hold on.
Don't worry about it. You can't. But because I wanted to ask some, deep weeds cartooning question about it.
Okay, that's Danger, Will Robinson.
Oh no! I'm just curious because we're all influenced by everything we see and hear and consume. This is similar in a very, very slight way to a Saturday Night Live sketch from the 1980s. In fact, Phil Hartman plays Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that's right.
Reagan, and Reagan's like, he says, and here comes the boy. He says, "Hello, little boy. How are you? Oh, that's a great. Where'd you get that badge? Okay." And they close the door. And says, "Okay, now we have to go. The Bismarckian concept of post World War I Europe."
Remember, it's about Iran Contra. He's like, was
that it?
He's like, the market's about to open in Kuala Lumpur. We're going to funnel through, we're going to funnel the guns through Panama. Then it's about how complicated Iran Contra was, which was 1986, and he was already kind of beginning to be viewed as very old by then. And so it was kind of like, how could this very old guy have presided over this incredibly complicated scandal? By the way, Scott, do you know that Fawn Hall just married Ollie North?
That can't be true.
It is true. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, let's get people real quick up to speed who aren't as old as us. Fawn Hall was the secretary for Oliver North, if I'm remembering correctly.
Correct.
And she allegedly snuck.
Beautiful.
She was lovely, and she allegedly snuck secret documents out in her underwear.
Yeah, and in her brassiere. Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be underwear to most of us.
But that's true.
And Oliver North was the God, I wish we could dig this up real quick. But he was the perpetrator, pretty much the mastermind, as such as it was, behind Iran-Contra.
Yes,
to
not the president, really.
Get money from Iran to buy weapons for the Contras, who were the right-wing freedom fighters.
Because Congress had forbidden it. And back then, the president Congress.
But I have to say, if I could throw out a bone to a deceased member of our fraternity who, when he was fantastic, was, I think, one of the very best, and that's Paul Conrad. And during the Iran-Contra hearings, this may have been his last great cartoon, because then Paul started to slide into, I think, some cognitive problems in his old age. But it's that great picture of Oliver North. He's standing, he's taking the oath of office, and he's just, chest sticking out and all the ribbons and all the and everything, and the presidential badge and all that stuff. And except in Conrad's cartoon, he's standing there like this, just flipping the bird. And by the way, nobody drew that back then. And I'm not sure if that was ever reprinted anywhere outside of Paul Conrad's, home base of the LA Times, which was fine because it has 1.4 million daily readers. But it was such a jarring, phenomenal, great cartoon because it really captured what people, especially who would have opposed it. And I kind of oppose, extracurricular executive activity like that.
Especially, but I find that when you find yourself defending yourself. So, Scott, why did you finance that death squad? That's an awkward
at the time, Ted, it
was the 80s. Everyone was doing it.
We were on coke. I just come on.
Behind closed doors, we were telling them to be less deathy. Behind closed doors,
yes,
we were really kumbaya with them. Behind closed doors, the Death Squad guys were really misunderstood.
What's so funny is you take Iran-Contra seems so quaint now compared to now we blow up boats with no due process, no regard for any legality. We just say, oh, they're running drugs out of Venezuela.
Yep.
Boom.
And there's no evidence for that whatsoever. And he keeps talking about the drug that Venezuela doesn't make, which is no, the fentanyl's
that shit's shipped to Mexico and they put that together there.
It's from parts of it come from China, then it's assembled in Mexico.
Then they send it to discerning American consumers.
It's like our auto industry.
One of the boats had 11 people on it, and I'm not sure. And old. Someone pointed out,
and 11 people, I think, doesn't sound like smugglers. It doesn't sound like
it doesn't. You know why, Ted? Because 11 people take up a lot of room on a small boat. And you know what else? Yeah, what you could use that room for? Drugs.
Yeah, I've seen the Tom Cruise movie American Made. Yeah, you're not bringing extra people.
So all of this is just anyway. Yeah. So Iran-Contra seems like it would just be quaint today. I mean, that would just be a Tuesday.
Oh, it's like, oh, you cute little bunny. You were.
But it also implies that the Congress would actually have the balls to say, no, we're not going to fund something the president wants to fund. By the way, just
right. And more than that, we're going to forbid him from funding it. And he's going to have to sneak around in order to do it. Scott, let's look at one of yours here.
Groovy.
Oh, that's what the fuck?
That's not mine.
That's the wrong one.
Unless my style changed dramatically.
Oh, okay, let's try.
And got exponentially. Oh, this was okay. I need to talk. This is deep background, and this is just for you and our viewers. But I draw cartoons for the Chicago Tribune, and I like to illustrate either their editorials or a column because then they run the cartoons huge. And that's what you want as an artist. You want, as much space in the newspaper or online as you can get.
And there's been wars between cartoonists and their employers over this point, right? Like, wasn't it Bill Watterson who insisted that Calvin and Hobbes be printed a certain size in the Sunday
Yes,
paper?
well, and he got it, by the way, because it was at the time Calvin and Hobbes when it truly was Calvin and Hobbes. But this was an issue on dogs in restaurants. I'm not sure how you feel about that. I know you don't. Well, you're a cat person, so you don't. Yes. You hate this
Obviously, issue. Anyone can bring their cat to the restaurant, and I will be happy to do that.
First time I ever saw dogs in restaurants was in Germany. And Ted, this will surprise you. The dogs were very well behaved. And took orders really well. But in America, we don't. In France, which is also, especially Paris, very dog-centric city, and the dogs are okay, except they don't pick up the poo, and that's another issue. But in America, you have dogs. I've seen people with dogs, and the dogs going to other tables. They're begging. They're like grabbing. They're just a pain in the ass, and they're ill-behaved because we're Americans and we don't believe in. I don't know what we don't believe in. Anyway, so this is just bringing my Poochie to my favorite restaurant. Really improves my experience. If you notice, my is 3 times in one sentence, and there's a dog underneath the table next to them.
So is this a controversy in Chicago?
They're trying to the city council is trying to push a law or pass a law to allow dogs in restaurants. It would be it would be up to the restaurateur. It's not carte blanche for Poochie, right? It's the restaurant would be allowed to say we're dog friendly. Bring the whole dog family. But it's just like there are dog bars, there are things like that all across America and pet friendly places. But if I want to go someplace nice for a dinner, I don't want some beast. I mean, I have a dog. I love my dog, but come on. I just don't want.
I mean, this is not an issue in New York, first of all, because no one would bring their dog inside a restaurant because
really? Why?
Well, first of all, there's no room, right? I mean, you've been here. The tables are close together, and probably someone would step on the dog accidentally, right? I mean, but New York dogs often, go accompany their owners outside. And New York dogs are a different breed. I mean,
how so?
When they walk, I think it's because they're so used to seeing zillions of other people and tons of stimulus that basically they become like their masters, blasé, and they ignore everyone. So New York dogs walk right by you. They don't even look at you, much less like reach out and try to sniff your leg or anything. They just keep going. They don't care about you. So in the restaurant, it's the same thing. The dog just comes in, plops down at its owner's feet, curls up, waits for it to be over, and goes. So I don't think there's any conflict. It's like, even if you hate dogs, your fellow, unless you're allergic or something, fellow restaurant patron is really, their dog's probably not going to bother you. But like, if you had this situation in like fucking Portland or something, I'm sure you'd be like eaten by a pit bull or something. No, I mean, because people are undisciplined and so are their dogs.
Yes. So this was just, if I may, this was just a fun drawing to draw. I'm trying to think of like, if you're upturning a table and you're at obviously it's a little French bistro, what would you be drinking?
And also and of course the couple, you chose to draw them in a very effete, liberal way.
Well, her hair is blue. I like his drawing. I just like the way I drew him.
His little gay turtleneck.
And his little shaved head and his mustache, his waxed mustache. It was kind of fun. I mean, that's one of those things that, you can kind of do that in our profession, and it's kind of fun. But I just like all the shit in the air, and obviously the chaos on the table next to him. And the best thing I found to show someone being thrown to the ground or being tossed is glasses. I wear glasses. Ted wears glasses, and just having them askew or off the face in midair, like I did in this cartoon, shows it really does help.
I forget what those are called in cartooning. Those lines that indicate motion. You didn't have to do that.
No, I did not. So this was again kind of an unimportant issue.
We have very different styles.
Which makes this segment really kind of interesting. I want to see one of yours. Come on.
Okay, let's do this. I think let me make sure. Okay, that's yours. Well, we might as well talk about it. while we've got it up. Actually, my things are screwed up here. Let me just figure this out.
Maybe.
There we go.
I'm feeling there. Oh. Right. I thought, okay, I got it. I have a ton of questions for you about this one.
So this one, I have one regret about it, and I'll tell you about that. But basically, everyone knows Schoolhouse Rocks. Everyone knows I'm Just a Bill. And so this reference, I kept thinking about the executive order and like how the executive order sort of circumvents all of the committee and like the reconciliation committee and all that stuff that you learn about when you're a kid. And it's just like, I just thought, well, so I'm going to draw this exactly the same way, except I had to give him the little Trump hair. And
I would have thrown some orange on the face.
Right. I thought about that. But then the thing is, the executive order is still a piece of paper. And for people who are familiar with the way the bill was drawn, it was drawn like this.
Well, I get that. I would have just had just like a very small circle of orange around just the eyes and the mouth. But, it still works. What amazes me is I've never seen you do a cartoon quite like this. And by that, I mean, you saw my Exorcist cartoon, which is clear, and guys like me, guys of my genre can do satire and do stuff like that. What made you decide to do this like this?
Well, it's so, I think you probably do the same thing. I get the idea and then I follow the idea where it wants to go. Right. And I'm like thinking, so I was thinking about how, Trump has probably without a doubt signed more executive orders than any other president. And they're all with, attempted sweeping import. And also he signed almost no legislation. Right. I mean, basically he doesn't get any bills through Congress. Congress isn't doing anything. So then I thought about like how, like, of course he's, a wannabe dictator. He loves this because he's just like rules by fiat. It's great for a lazy guy who doesn't want to do the hard work of getting, democratic consensus, small d democratic consensus in a country, that's diverse and all that. So I just thought about the little song, and my regret here, it all rhymes, and I think and I'm okay, and I like the text. I wish I had done the meter correctly, and I didn't. And I'm like, I after I sent it out, I was like, oh fuck! It wasn't too lazy to do it. I literally forgot to do it because I'm not a poet. I don't know anything about it, and it was like, shit. And so, or a song.
I'm just a bill from Capitol Hill. That's all I can remember. I'm just an executive order.
And you have to have the little order in the distance.
Yeah, I know. I love the goon. I mean, that's going to be more of a thing. I'm not sure if you saw what's happened in Chicago today, but they've sent the troops in. So that's great. I think American troops. Here's another one of yours.
Okay.
Well, let's stay with Ted. Okay.
The president disliked so yeah, this one I thought was good. But I thought about like there's currently, we were just talking about the Venezuelan boat situation. That's clearly illegal on so many levels. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, there's no authorization to do this, right? And there's all sorts of pending lawsuits about this and a million other indignities that Trump is doing. And it's kind of like, okay, and I overheard someone on the subway say the other day, can he do that about something about Trump? And I thought about like, when I was suing the LA Times and I was asking to my lawyer, can they do that? And I think people always do that. Like when they're being victimized, they ask their lawyer, can they do that to me? And it's kind of like, no, they can't do that. The law says they can't. And it's like, okay, but it's not like you snap your fingers and say, Lama Cadabra, right? That's like, no, you have to, it's kind of like what you say, well, can you be sued for that? Sure. Someone can, but you have to go through a long, lengthy, arduous, expensive, time, emotionally taxing process that may or may not lead to victory or justice. And in the meantime, you're fucked, right? Like Milton Friedman said famously, in the long run, we're all dead. it's like, and in the meantime, it's like so like people who are suing to not get targeted. I mean, don't forget, Holder, right, the Secretary of the Attorney General under Obama, testified before Congress that the President of the United States has the right to kill a U.S. citizen with a drone on American soil without any, with no warrant, no evidence of wrongdoing whatsoever. Right. So that's the world we live in now. Thank you, Barack Obama. Eric Holder.
Yeah. Let me ask you something? Keep the cartoon up, please, because I wanted to ask on a personal level. You and I, we talk several times a week, and we were talking about, getting nervous about the country and whether or not we should, leave. And one of them is like, okay, well, or you can stick around and get arrested. And we kind of talked about this point. Did that, to your mind, was that a subconscious thing? Did that directly inspire this cartoon? Because we had a conversation that was almost pretty certain, and I brought up, and so did, and you corroborated, but I said, this is, okay, we get arrested, and then 4 years later, the courts decide, okay, you shouldn't have been arrested.
Yeah.
And we've had 4 glorious years in the penal system of Uganda.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had that conversation both on the air and off the air. And that definitely is part of the equation. I mean, I have the kind of brain that's always looking for patterns. Like I was saying before, I was thinking about Kilmar Albrego Garcia, the El Salvadorian guy who was wrongfully deported to El Salvador. And the administration just won't stop trying to deport him this way, that way, and the other, even to countries that even most like political cartoonists haven't heard of. And so like Eritrea and stuff like that. And like he's, I mean, it's crazy. And so anyway, I was thinking like, that's the thing, right? Like Trump is coming, Trump might be in his 80s, but he's acting like a 35-year-old tech bro, like move fast and break things, right? That's the whole thing. And if you move fast and break things, it's sort of like no one can catch up. By the time, justice catches up with you, it's already done. The facts on the ground have changed, right? That's like what the Israelis do in the West Bank. Like, we're not going to argue that we want Judea and Samaria, otherwise known as the West Bank. We're just going to put settlers there. And then next thing you know, what are you going to do? You want to expel 700,000 civilians and make them homeless? Really? So you change so that's what Trump's doing. It's actually really brilliant. It's also cynical and horrible. And and it's too bad that we can't call him out. If we had a real democracy, we could call him out, but we don't.
Well, or had a third or 2/3 of the government and the checks and balances would actually do their friggin' jobs, but they've decided
there's that too.
That's too much.
And the media, while we're at it.
What media?
Oh, right, that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, this is just one of those. He's determined when Trump just determined we were at war with the warlords of Venezuela. He just he sent that note to the Congress. I just thought the language was so.
Venezuela doesn't even have warlords, cartels.
Yeah, well, okay, but you're looking at what's happening to the farmers now. I recognize that what the Republican Party, and Trump administration is going to do is they're already talking about sending billions of dollars to farmers, just as a sweetheart deal to say, we're really sorry, we totally fucked up your lives, because the tariffs are going to play terrible havoc, and they already have played terrible havoc with the farmers in this country. And that, couple that with the fact that China just bought, I had no idea that Argentina had large soybean crops, but apparently they do. And China just bought all of the soybeans from Argentina. So our guys are going to be caught holding the bag, a massive bag of soybeans. And so I just liked combining I've determined we're at war with he's at war with the farmers of America. Although the rumors are that he's going to send them a nice big, you just won the lottery check, which is bullshit. Which
they need to afford those John Deere tractors that you drew in this cartoon.
That was really fun. Tractors are kind of cool. I'm not crazy about the drawing, Ted. This one I cranked out it was one of the weeks that, a lot of stuff happening, and I was packing to get out of town and all. So I'm not crazy about the drawing. I'll be honest with you. I think it's pretty sloppy.
It's like this is one of those things where it, no doubt, but like no one else could tell. It looks great to me.
Oh, well, thank you. I can tell. I could have drawn it better.
There is one thing I think that rear wheel on the right is a little off.
Well, I wanted it to be off because it looks like it's being, hoisted into the air, and I wanted to show that the axle had. But you're right. I mean, if I had drawn it, I'm not sure if I had drawn
it's a little too big, right? Because it's like.
Well, there's that. Yes, that you're right. It's too big for being further away from us than the wheel on the left wheel, which is closer to us. So
but
yeah,
Trump is so crazy. He's having an effect on optics.
Yes, he's totally okay. This was just on the after the Charlie Kirk assassination, just how everyone was just losing their fucking minds, and named the direction, and that's where we.
The most terrifying thing about that, by my mind, Scott, is when the conservatives, and this could look, if this had gone the other way around, it absolutely could have been. They'd say the same thing, but it's like, look at what they did, meaning liberals or the left.
Yeah,
look, they killed him. Look, that's what Jackie Onassis said. Jackie Kennedy said. Like when she refused to change her blood-soaked dress, right? She's like,
I want them to see what they did to him. Yeah,
they did. They didn't do anything, unless you're a conspiracy theorist. Like they didn't do. I mean, it's like Charlie Kirk wasn't killed by the Mossad. He wasn't killed by a radical left conspiracy. He wasn't killed by a generalized atmosphere of contempt for conservatives. He was killed by one deranged individual. That's all. And not a they. There's no they there.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't a trans person, so you really can't say they, even though he was dating a trans person. But that's not the same thing.
Was he dating them?
Yeah.
I always get a little confused.
His roommate became. I don't know if his roommate, he had a female roommate who transitioned, and I don't know. We don't know the timeline. Not that it really is important. About like how the romance went down. Did it start from the beginning? Did they live together and then start going out or whatever? I mean, but the point is,
and what kills me too is then Fox begins to the cacophony of the violence of the trans community. Right? Really?
They're the victims of the violence.
Many times wasn't there a trans person that did an attack?
In Tennessee, I want to say.
Yeah, but okay, so that's one out of the rough estimate. There's 2-point-something million transgender people in the United States.
Not to mention there's mass shootings like 3-4 times a day, and it's usually heteronormative shitheads who do it.
And and then start talking about some form of reasonable gun control, and they lose their friggin' minds. So, that's a different podcast altogether, I think, but a different issue. But it's one of those issues that let's talk about what's actually, happening here. But no, we don't do that either, because why would we concern ourselves as Americans with facts, Ted? That makes no sense.
Facts only get in the way. Scott, I want to show you another cartoon. This one is not.
We probably have room for one more.
So
let's see.
This is Reuben Bowling, aka.
Oh my.
He does Tom the Dancing Bug. Do you know the reference here? A busy day?
Oh no! Is this based on a children's story?
Yes. So there's a famous children's book series, perhaps, where anyway these are like, and it's all drawn in these sort of animal type characters. I think it's Richard Scarry, if memory serves. And
this is
anyway,
funny.
Yeah, it's Richard Scarry, and it's pretty funny.
I like them chasing the guy on the bike that was invading troops. I like the kitty cat holding a sign that says, "I don't like Trump," and he's labeled Antifa.
I also like the looks Mexican mouse being chased by the ICE agent cat.
Yeah, and I like the guys in the Trump brown shirts saying, "Don't call them fascists or they'll do fascist things to you." I love cartoons and cartoonists. You're one of them, and Bowling's another. But that can do little details like that. You can kind of get immersed in it.
Yes,
it's really
it.
Delightful. I mean, if you have the time, obviously, my cartoons take all of 4.5 to 7 seconds to read, but this is one of those things that you can actually luxuriate over and look at some of the
There's so much
like
fun
this presidential library donation center. I mean, this is
in scare quotes.
Bitcoin investor of that generous airplane donor.
And the genius of it is just how innocent the animal figures look. And
yeah, I
course,
like the.
It's true. It's a busy place these days, Washington, D.C.
It really is. Well, and that's the thing.
Isn't it great that and every decision, you know, in a Reuben Bowling, he's really a cartoonist. It's cartoonist, I think. Every decision is kind of like very intentional, right? Like, you know, the fox is the Supreme Court justice, you know, so it's that kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I like the bunny as a popular comedian. I just, why not? An FCC chairman is a bear trying to pounce on him. This is funny. This is funny stuff. I had not seen this before now, so this is pretty great.
Yeah.
I love stuff. Yeah.
And I love to be surprised. You know, I mean, it's like one of the things I look for as a fan of cartooning is I'm like, come on, like I remember back in the golden era of like the Far Side or, you know, Calvin and Hobbes, but Far Side in particular, I'd open up the newspaper and think, okay, what has this crazy motherfucker come up with today? And they'd be like, oh, that's great. That's the look. That's what I'm always looking for.
I was just thinking of that lineup back then, and it sounds like such an old man thing to say, Ted. And I know we're going to bail in a minute or two. Yeah, in my day. But think about the comics page in 1989. Calvin and Hobbes, The Far Side, Bloom County, Doonesbury, and you know, Charles Schultz was still alive, but he wasn't doing his best work. But
give me shitty peanuts over no peanuts.
Yeah. Well, and you're not alone, because 25 years after the guy dies, they're still running his comic strip.
That's true.
And it's still 10 times more brilliant than anything around it.
You know, he didn't want that.
No, he wanted the strip to end when he ended. And somehow, how did they loophole that? You were in the syndicate
I was in the room where it happened.
Okay.
So
dish.
Yeah, I'll dish. So Lisa Clem Wilson, who was my boss at the time at United Feature Syndicate, and you know, 2 or 3 others who were involved, who were in the room where it happened. And so she said, so I think we're going to continue reading. You know, I talked to Jeannie, who's the widow, and I think we're going to continue. We're going to continue with Peanuts. And I was like, isn't that like, and I, you know, I'm like this. I was like, isn't that, Lisa, exactly the opposite of what Sparky wanted? And also, doesn't the estate already have hundreds of millions of dollars? And like, is that not enough, really? And so she's like, no, well, you have to understand, Peanuts is very special. I'm like, like you specially ignore the creator's vision.
That's very
and I was like, well, people really want it. There's a huge demand for it. I'm like, as there is for many drugs. But the point is, it's like, it's wrong, right? Like, it's wrong to do this. I mean, this is a man you knew personally. I knew, not as well as you, but you knew him. And you know he felt very strongly about this.
Yes, well, but wasn't it in his contract?
No. So
okay,
she said that's what she said. She said, "Well, it's not in the contract, and you know, it's not in his will." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, in that case, was it not in his contract that we should stuff his corpse and parade it around fairgrounds around the country?" Needless to say, shockingly, I was laid off not soon. Can't imagine why that happened.
But to your point, I would have gone to go see that.
Oh, good point.
Taxidermy Charles Schultz, absolutely.
With glowing red eyes.
Hello, good to see you.
The animatronic president.
Yes. Oh God, I'll never forget when I saw those for the first time. It was like the wonder of.
It's totally like, Mom,
animatronics. Yes,
Mom,
because it made that noise. Abraham Lincoln getting out of his chair was like Abe Lincoln does the limbo.
Little did I know that once you turn over 60, though, your body actually sounds like that.
It's not. You're not wrong. We're coming up on an hour, so we probably need to.
So thank you. Let's see if there's any. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in here. Really, really appreciate it.
Any residual?
The DMZ America podcast with Ted Rall and Scott Stantis, Left versus Right. We're going to be doing more of this kind of thing, showing our cartoons going forward. And we're going to invite our colleagues to come on so we can grill them and destroy them. No, we're just
explain yourself.
We're just going to talk to them and have fun.
Yeah.
So if you have any requests, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, no, I'm just going to say it's going to be interesting to talk about, because we will be able to pull cartoons and say, what were you thinking? Not what were you thinking, but what were you thinking when you created this? And it'll be interesting.
Yeah, like what the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, we won't do, well, Ted might do
that. Might do that. Yeah.
Might.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to try to get onto a regular schedule here, or as the English say, schedule. And we'll be keeping you posted about that. As soon as that's it. All right. So
okay.
You just put on chapstick.
I did. I'm up here in Denver. It's dry as hell here. I mean, I just came here from, come on, I'm in Alabama where it's moist. It's not so much here.
Is that what it says when your car crosses the state line? Welcome to Alabama, the moist state.
Well, that would make it. Yeah, that would be the best thing you could say about it, perhaps.
Oh, well, I guess, yeah, it's true up there in the altitude. I think I haven't really used lip balm since I was a kid, but.
Oh, really? Well, you got to stay. You have to stay kissably soft, Ted. You have to stay kissably soft.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Now we enter the audio entertainment phase of the program. Thank you all for joining us, and good night.
Well, okay, I didn't really think of a song ahead of time. I need to come up with some cartooning songs. I will. I promise. Honest to God. Cross my heart and hope to die.